Okay, here we go. Let me check everything. Pizza's good to go. I think I could walk around a little bit, but I like to stay wherever the Wi-Fi is strongest. There it is. There's the house. Day 16. Where is she? We don't know. Week 3. Folks, the mystery that has gripped the world. Yes. There is a lot of new. We have some new info that I'm going to get to. Again, I'm going to say hello in just a moment. Let me just make sure we got everything set. We're live on X. We're live on our Facebook page. We are live on YouTube. We're going to be live later on TikTok. I have a lot to get through. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get through to everything. We may have to go overtime after a lot of time. Right now it's 11:04 here in Tucson, and it's 1:04 in the East. And we're going to start. Hi there, Bill. In just a moment. This fast developing story. I like to try to bring you the latest. It's not easy. Let me see what some people are reporting. Oh boy. Let me see this. Pima County. DNA evidence. This is from Michael from Fox. The FBI released a statement. Gloves found 2 miles. Suspect clothing can be purchased from Walmart, but not just exclusively at Walmart. Clarification. They state that they never stated this was a burglary gone wrong. Any report of that is inaccurate. Very active investigation. No press briefing scheduled. Okay, that's all right. We're going to begin, folks. It's very fluid right now. Let me just, and I'm trying to give you the latest, but again, this is one of those stories. Okay. Oh, actually, okay. I received the email. It's just already been a big morning. Well, let me set up. Let me say first hello to everyone, and please share that you are watching. If you're on YouTube, you can make sure you follow the page. They call it subscribe on YouTube, where you hit the subscriber. I'd love to see some super chats. I think we have earned that. There we go. Yes. All right, folks, this is what it's like. Day 16. It's a nice cloudy day, and I'll take that, by the way. Week 3, day 16. Thank you, everybody. Obviously, on Facebook, you can send stars. If you're on X, you can follow on X. I like X. I like all our platforms. By the way, we're also on Instagram and also on TikTok. This portion of our program, because we do have sponsors, check out DePietro.com, brought to you by the Coesit Inn. 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick, lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge, waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. All right, this is from the sheriff's office. I just received this from them. The gloves found 2 miles from the residence in a field near the side of the road were packaged, sent overnight. Putting unknown male DNA into the database. So we're still waiting on that. Suspects' clothing. Excuse me. This is somewhat new that they're kind of focusing on this a little bit. They can confirm, Pima County Sheriff's Department can confirm the clothing seen may have been purchased by Walmart, not exclusively. They never stated it was a burglary gone wrong. Now, that was a local. Thank you for that. I'm seeing a super chat there. All right. We're live on YouTube. Imagine if everyone did that. Hey, I'd be able to afford to stay here till whenever, because this is week 3, day 16. Thank you for that. That was a local. I'm very surprised. That was a local reporter. And so it got a lot of weight. It got a lot of play. That was late yesterday. a local reporter, Brittany, I've seen her. She seems to have a good reputation. She seems to have good sources. She just sat down with the sheriff late last week. She was the one saying that a source close to the investigation, as they say, was saying, and just for those that are just, I come up here on the hill just because we have good, it's a little quieter, but that is Nancy's house at the bottom of the hill that you can see. And this is also where the Fox News drone goes off. But I kind of like it up here. We're a little bit away from the fray. If there was something big that was happening, then we're close. But I was caught off guard by that because that rocketed the whole burglary going wrong, and now they're going out of their way to shoot it down. So any report are inaccurate. You don't want that. I think the sheriff initially said, "Well, I never said that," but now they're saying, "Oh no, that's inaccurate." No press briefings are scheduled. Press conference will be announced. The sheriff is granting limited number of one-on-one interviews, which, again, I don't think. By the way, I don't think that's the worst idea because he, as I've seen, the early press conferences were spiraling a little bit out of control. I don't think we're going to see a press conference from the sheriff anytime soon. So now I want to be very clear. They haven't arrested anyone. They haven't arrested anyone. And right now there's no one detained. So I do have some new information and I want to just mention to people that admittedly, the coverage that I'm doing, if you're like just casually following the case, thank you for that. Another thank you, Annette. Look at that. YouTube is alive. I want to be very clear. If you're just casually following it, I have no problem in telling you my coverage is not for you. My coverage is not for you. We're doing coverage on this Facebook page, which just hit 130,000 followers, and on our Instagram page, TikTok, we're at 143,000. CNN's got to update their story. And then the same thing, obviously, with YouTube and Instagram. I'm not doing coverage for people who, if you just casually follow the story, this coverage is you're vested. You know the timeline, you know the players. And so I just want to clarify that because I see, there's some people that just come on and they say, did they find her yet? Like that's someone that watches Cinderella and it's like, did the shoe fit? Like, it's not, this is a big mystery. Now, there's some important things here. Let's be honest, and I want to be realistic with you, okay? I don't, they cannot find her. I don't think that, like, what are we talking about? I'm trying to be objective. I'm anxious like everyone else. It seems now, it seems now that the ransom notes are bogus. And that was all of last week, right? Harvey Levin, TMZ. Then you had Savannah, and they're, we're ready, we're here, we'll pay. That all seems like that was just somebody some scammer in wherever, the Philippines, Nigeria, India, whatever, trying to make a quick buck off of this. There are people, by the way, that extort others, and they do, they go into someone's software and they hold them up, and they have Bitcoin accounts set up where you can't trace it. They have emails set up that they can't trace. So it sounds like it was one of them. But the ransom thing seems bogus. But what I want to tell you is, and I've learned this, whether it was Brown University or Charlotte Lester or Anna Walsh, right? Or the Boston Marathon bombing for the most part. I follow where are the police investigating? They have not left this general area. They have not left this area. The entire investigation is down around, obviously, they keep coming back to Nancy's house. The helicopter is flying around here. They're not, as I've said, thank you for that. They're not at the border. They're not, as I said, they're not raiding a warehouse in Phoenix. this entire investigation has first, last week, week two, we were on the ground with FBI as they were at Annie's house, and then they were around here. And then it was less than a week ago, we received, we they got the video of that person that is on the front porch. What do we know about him? This whole business, if it was a robbery, his backpack is full. Wouldn't the backpack be empty? It does seem, people describe him. He's calm. He's got the gloves. He's got the mask, right? We've shown that. But it does seem as though there's someone in the house that's letting him in. Fox, by the way, their drone is right here. They had a good shot this morning where they're showing the back of the house. There's no broken glass. It doesn't look like they broke through. And I want to come back to Savannah saying at this point, she was kind of pleading with them that they just want to find her. I mean, it's day 16. Everyone wants to have hope, but it starts to get a little grim with an 84-year-old woman who was, very sharp, but not in tremendous health. That would be 16 days in captivity would be tough for anyone. Now, NBC News this morning, and I thought this was pretty interesting because the Today Show, the reporter they had on the Today Show is shying away from they're said that authorities are shying away from the house that SWAT raided Friday night and the Range Rover. But my question with that is that true, or is that just the authorities are putting that out there? That remains an unknown. So now let's talk about the house. So what you're looking at right now is, and you can put where you're watching from. We have some new videos up, but I want to come back to a couple of things. And for those of you that follow, when we have done some of our, um, I learn a lot by spending a lot of time with police. Obviously, I spent a lot of time with the Cranston police. I spent a lot of time this past summer with Westerly police. And then, we spent a lot of time with Warwick police and the Providence police. So I think that helps me in giving you the type of coverage because you get a good sense of what's normal and what's not normal. But I want to tell you, who would know that an elderly woman, there's her house right there. Who would know that an 84-year-old woman lives there alone with no dog and no alarm system? Who would know that? If you've been watching a lot of the coverage, most burglaries happen daytime. Why? Because that's when people are at work. They do it or I've heard them mention like the NFL players, right? Like they know that Jason Kelsey or whoever is away. They're playing on Monday Night Football. So then they hit the house. But it's not totally uncommon, but very rare that someone tries to break into a house while the homeowner is home. So, but who would know that she's 84? What if she called 911? What if she had heard them? That just does not make sense to me. Who would know that she's in there alone, no alarm, no dog, and I don't know, was she a light sleeper? You'd wake up, call 911, and then the sheriffs are out here? Could it be someone she recognized? What this comes down to, well, a couple of things. The helicopter, where they're looking, right, the sniffer looking for the pacemaker. That's local. They're not doing that in Nevada. They're not doing that in Phoenix. Is a drone up? The whole search is right around here. If they're telling me the DNA match is the key, that is needle in a haystack. A black glove 2 miles from here? 2 miles from here. That is needle in a haystack. Now, let's be realistic, and I want to provide things to you by being out here. And one of the things I want to show you is because I was speaking with someone this morning, but I do want to stay on schedule. By the way, I want to thank Propane Plus, one of our supporters, one of our well, they're a tremendous, very valued sponsor is Propane Plus. Remember, they're always online at propaneplus.com, residential or commercial. You can depend on Propane Plus. Give them a call today. And remember, serving Rhode Island and Massachusetts, it's Propane Plus. The Johnson family, always there for you. Give them a call in Rhode Island, 401 or you could call them in Massachusetts, but Rhode Island is 401-885-4209, or in Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. I want to show you what is it like being out here. Now, first of all, these cactuses, very sharp. Can I pluck one? I mean, these things, look at these things, they're tough. This is like a toothpick. This is like a toothpick. Look at how I'm bending it. It doesn't easily break. If you were at night trying to walk through, can you see? Look at how, see how these things they don't break. These are these cactus, and they're look at them. They're everywhere. So, but this ground, someone was asking me, is it possible they could have buried her? The ground that's what you're that's rough. That is hard as a rock. When we think of the desert, we think of the sand, right? Bugs Bunny or the safari. That's not what that is. And it doesn't rain. This isn't Fay Field. This isn't, this isn't around exit. That what you're looking at right there, that is really hard terrain. If you're going to dig and trying to dig a hole in that is really, really difficult. Very, very difficult. But I want to come back to, and it's something that, I mean, I think, and for some of you, I'm not trying to be redundant, right? But those of you that watch, whether it's things that I cover or others, but remember, it comes down to motive, means, and opportunity, right? And what is still so puzzling here is what was the motive? What was motive? And people say it was Epstein. I don't, but wait, but expand upon that. I'm not at this point. I don't think you can rule anything out. But what about unless you're going to say it's a distraction, like that part? I just. But what was it? I don't know what to. I really don't, because people are asking me like, what is your gut and like and that type of thing. But morning, guys. But I don't have a handle on that. There you can see a drone over the house. I mean, the drones initially was a big deal. Um, I also think so. The ransom, it really seems like that was bogus. That was throwing everything off. But why did they take her? Why did they take her? Burglary gone wrong. How come you don't leave her in there? Why did they remove her? Someone was mentioning, and I think it's smart. Who recently, if you want to go down that road, who recently got out of jail? Are these like just some local thieves that hit houses? Did somebody go in, try to rob it? Something happened with her. I mean, she was bleeding, but then the pacemaker didn't show. I mean, according to the pacemaker, she left this house alive, but she was bleeding. Doesn't the person, and they're saying now, and I want to just be very clear about this. Um, they're now, and I think it's really interesting speculation. Before I tell you what I'm about to tell you, though, I do want to thank again Servpro of Providence. Again, another big supporter. If you have a disaster, call Servpro Providence. Fire, water damage, flood, maybe some of that snow is melting in, causing a problem. Fast, thorough, professional Servpro Providence, 401 941 5,500. They're the best. It's Servpro. I want to go. I want to start again. Just I always think it's big. What do we know? What do we not know? Um, there's the police are telling us a lot. The police. I know some people may not realize it, but the police are telling us a lot. There is speculation that this individual, that someone was letting him into the house, that there was already someone there, that he was casual. What was that all about? Grabbing the flowers? Was what? Why? Like profiles have said, he was very calm. Think what he's about to do. So, in other words, there's somebody inside. That front door is like a fortress type door. If I was positive that we wouldn't get bungled Wi-Fi, well, we have been down in front of it, so I have enough video of that. But so if there was someone inside, someone was speculating to me, someone was inside, then called this individual saying, I need you to get over here. It went bad. I need you to, I know I am hearing about the TMZ stuff. I don't know what to make of that. But this is the blood splatter. And I was very fascinated by the criminologist that said that looks like she coughed. So there's some of the flowers left over of that the goon with the ski mask threw. And then there's her blood, and then it stops right at the step. What does that tell us? So they had a vehicle and they immediately put her in the vehicle. But here's where are they? This is day 16. Vulnerable adult, missing person, Nancy Guthrie. Where are they? It is so bizarre. I don't know what to make of the TMZ ransom stuff. That doesn't, I'm more in the camp now to me that that's just some scammer that's playing them. They're putting a lot on that one of the gloves they found certainly seems to match that glove. See how the glove seems to go up his wrist? So who is that? And how is it possible that no one who knows who that person is has come forward? And for all the people saying that, I was speaking with a member of law enforcement who I respect and said they 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 may have just got lucky. Whoever did this, maybe they got lucky. Maybe that they weren't that smart and sophisticated, but they somehow got away. Where is she? I don't know where she is. And I'll tell you, I don't know if the police know where she is. And I don't think the FBI knows where she is. And it sure sounds like, and again, right now, 27 minutes past the hour. We are, by the way, we're live on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. And this hour that we do, we're also live on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page, and on X. I there's a lot of things. If we're to believe that they're shying away from the Range Rover and the raid from Friday night, if we're to believe that, then they're putting a lot on the DNA evidence. If we're to believe that that truly is a dead end, then this entire investigation has taken place, as I said, in a very short distance. A very short distance. Now, I want to stay on schedule. And I also want to remind you, so some of the things that are very popular right now, people are making sure they have batteries in their Nest cameras and Ring cameras. People are making sure they know how to access their parents. For those that don't understand the story, again, a friend of mine said, what we see, that guy, that's the boogeyman. If you have a parent that lives alone, that this is your worst nightmare. An intruder at 2 o'clock in the morning coming in, her blood is on the front store step, and she's abducted. Abduction, by the way. So all these people saying, I wish they'd focus more on all these people that are missing. She was abducted. There's a difference. But I'll tell you who's, if anything, folks, Capitol Fence, call my friend, call owner Mike Rizzo at Capitol Fence, 401 618 4407, capitalfenceRI.com. Remember, they can install a fence or a gate, free estimate. I know that people are now saying, like, oh my God. I mean, because this is a beautiful area where we are. The Catalina foothills, which you're looking live at right now, Nancy's home. It's a very beautiful area. But, number one, people are seeking out gated communities, but call Capitol Fence today. Maybe get a fence for your mom or dad or your grandparents. Capitol Fence and Mike Rizzo, they serve Rhode Island, Massachusetts. High quality. They'll give you a free estimate. And I know the guy, and he's licensed and insured, and he's just terrific. Capitol Fence, call Mike Rizzo, 401 618 4407. All right. Right now, 30 minutes, well, thereabouts. I don't want to give time because then people are watching from different places. So the fact of the matter is, it is week 3 of the Nancy Guthrie investigation. And let me just see if, oh, wow, Robert Duvall has passed away. Tom Hagen and The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, Great Santini. You're out of what time? Consigliere time. You're out, Tom. Tom Hagen. Robert Duvall has passed away. Quite a life. All right. We talked about the clothing. I know that TMZ, they're saying that they received yet another one. I'm going to listen to what the police are saying because I don't uh I don't know. I don't know what, I'll let police deal with Harvey Levin of TMZ. I'm not knocking him. I think his appearances with Sean Hannity especially have been really good. But I want to wait to see from police. The other night, there was a lot of confusion because there is a news chopper that it's true that you could hear it circling over. Again, it's all right in this area, folks. That's what President Trump said the Department of Justice would pursue the death penalty if she's not returned alive. That's a big if. Um, here's what it and Savannah pleading. I'd be curious what everyone thinks about Savannah pleading. No, I view this is people's worst nightmare, especially if you have. I had older relatives that lived alone in their home. I had older relatives that lived alone in their homes in their 90s. And the biggest fear, I had an old aunt who would not let workmen into the home. She was so paranoid. She would not let, she didn't like people she didn't know because many times you don't know who they are and they're strangers. But what if that's where we're at? If that's where we're at, that they're hoping for a DNA match, I'm telling you right now, and I know that of course, everyone wants to keep the thought that she's still alive. And until we hear differently, but admittedly, it is day 16. We are at the house, and it just seems as though they really need a break in the case. Folks, this portion of the program, and I want to touch on where we are right now. This portion of the program is brought to you by Kids Club on the Pike. Now, if you're looking for daycare options, preschool or after school or daycare options, call Kristen at Kids Club on the Pike, 401, and they're terrific. They have more locations than just their main location. 443 5336. They're located right off Plainfield Pike, is Kids Club on the Pike. Now, I want to just retrace where we are because it's tough when people come in and then there, for instance, there's a lot of, I was part of that. No, not part of it, but we were live Friday night. And what you need to understand is, so we were outside gathered with the media where there was the SWAT raid on that house. Okay. And they still haven't talked about that. But that is not far, 2 miles from here. And then they got a Range Rover. We have a lot of video of that right in front of Culver's. And they detained that individual. That was Friday night. Now, at the same time, totally unrelated, there were at least one or two other accidents. And there were hit and runs. And there was someone who, streaming, I think, who tried to tie it in. And then people thought, and it threw off everything. Now, I was with where the media was until we went to where the Range Rover was. If you haven't seen the Range Rover evidence, I mean, admittedly, as I was watching that and with the rest of the media on Friday night, it seemed, I was thinking, are they looking for her DNA that they could have transported it? Now, as they're looking at that, there's someone, a streamer, and I met the guy. He's a nice enough guy, but he saw one of the people in an unrelated accident. So he starts saying, "Oh my God, I can't unsee what I've seen." So he gave people the impression like, "Oh my, holy cow, is is that, poor Nancy in the back of the Ranger?" That's not what it was. But he's there's a lot of that. Many times when we were at a scene and people are like, "Well, what's going on? What's going on? How are you?" Like, what's going on? Well, you don't know. You just know there's a heavy police presence. They don't stop and hold a press conference, but I'll tell you, I haven't seen anything like that the way they were going through that Range Rover. And again, I can't say it enough. We have video up. It's very compelling to watch of the different tools they have that they can lift things. But let's just, again, this is the beginning of week 3. But let's go back to the first week. And I think this part is hard to, I think you have to go back to, if TMZ had not gotten, and a local station, by the way, but if they had not gotten those ransom notes, I think the ransom notes, which it sounds like now it hasn't panned out, meaning we haven't heard anything, we haven't heard proof of life. But to me, that in some ways, that I'm not blaming, because there was a local TV station here in Tucson that got one. And then obviously TMZ did. But, and then Savannah, they're doing, right? They're doing the video messages trying to appeal to the kidnappers, will pay. But I think that really kind of threw things off. Because if you just go back to the very beginning, right, the Sunday, the family gets here and she's not there. Actually, she goes locally and watches Mass with some friends and didn't show up. Not into a church, but they watch themselves and they watch a Mass that Savannah had gone to earlier in New York City that streams it, and they watched that. She was always prompt, but she was late, and then her friend called, texted, called, nothing, and then called, the daughter Annie. But that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, they're going through, where is she? And then they didn't have the video. And then the ransom hits, and that becomes a big focal point. FBI negotiators The elite FBI negotiating team arrived here in Tucson. Why? Because they thought they were dealing with kidnappers. But let's go back to the first Saturday night. We all kind of know it now, right? The Uber home. Yes, according to the sheriff. Listen, I'll say this. If there was some these people that keep asking, like if you're asking, what about the Uber driver? You're in the wrong place. We've already covered that. Remember, you have to get up to speed. It's not our responsibility. They've already covered that. They're very comfortable that the Uber driver is cooperating and not involved in this. So I don't know how else to, explain that. Now you can say you don't believe it, but they're confident about it. But what I come back to is how did they get into the house? Because if that front door is a fortress and there was already somebody inside, how did they get in? Did they know they could get in through the garage? I don't know. I want to be very clear. If you know the police haven't released how they got in. The police then also at an early press conference, they've stopped doing them. They haven't done them now since the first week. The sheriff, excuse me, but was saying, we don't know where that came from, a forced entry. We don't know where that came from. So they haven't disclosed that. They haven't disclosed whether or not it was a robbery. They haven't said how the person got in. If a person got in, why didn't Nancy hear them? No alarm system. But you would maybe hear someone coming in to your house at whatever time it was, if all of that is true, and then they're in the house for a while. Why are they in the house for a while? I don't know. But let's focus on the blood stops right at the front steps that I've shown. And so they obviously pull up a vehicle. And I want you to just focus on why were they removing her from the house? Why were they doing that? I don't expect people to have an answer to that, by the way. But I'm just saying that then where did they go? Like, what was the plan of that? What was the plan? Now we can go through clear. Like, this is the media taking these pictures. Flowers are there, the blood. That was a screw up. The sheriff screwed that up. The house never should have been let go. That's a blood splatter. By the way, that was then shown to be her blood. There's a match there. So they get her in the vehicle, and then where and why? Unknown. Absolutely unknown. I wonder. So I'd like to go back because after the element of the ransom note, the FBI, they started walking back through everything. And that's when then we saw all that activity in front of Annie's house and her whole area. They have basically combed the entire area between where we are right now, and you're looking at Nancy's house. That's really been the entire investigation has between the two of them. And then the actions of Friday night, again, were just 2 miles away. The glove was found 2 miles away. The FBI SWAT raid was 2 miles away. The Range Rover, the driver that lives 2 miles away. So this entire everything involved with this case all is right in this general area. But where is she? I heard some people saying, how come they're not doing a full, they ask for, because there are people that would like to come out, volunteers, and you walk around. I'm telling you, and I've done some of those. For those of you who remember, we did that with Charlotte Lester. But there's a big difference walking around Apponaug, and then we searched the area off of Elmwood Avenue. But this is tough terrain with these cactuses. I'm not saying it's not impossible, They haven't asked for that. Maybe they should have done that. There's certainly no shortage of people that would like to be part of that. So it's just I come back to who like and it's so odd, but how is it possible? Who is that person? Or are they from another country? Like at this point, I'm not I don't think we should rule anything out at this point. I'm not saying anyone is ruling anything out, but just like everybody else, I don't know what to make this one. This is and the fact they haven't found her, like, oh, there's a sheriff. The fact they haven't found her is also puzzling. That what is this about? Like that's what I just come back to. Who who takes an 80 who is that? I mean, this is right now, this is the most wanted person on the planet, and no one knows who that is. Is it possible they were working alone? I don't think so. I've heard the FBI profiler saying it seems to make sense that someone's letting them in they took her out the front door. That much we know. They took her out the front door. But who it does look like are we to believe when they're saying there's no forced entry, so he didn't break in through that front door. So they got in another way. And I know that some people have questions. It's really important for me to mention to you that I'm not saying they aren't valid questions, but there's so much the police haven't told us. As Paul Morrow on Fox was saying, I mean, the police haven't said was anything stolen. If nothing was stolen, then what was the point of going in? Like, then why come here? And this individual that we didn't get that till just last week. They didn't have it the first week, but that individual, you can see with the gloves and so forth that how frightening that is. But that backpack is full. So this is not, he's filling it up with expensive items. I think I saw some reporting that it wasn't, she didn't believe that she kept valuable things. So I want to, I am very open to the idea that this is something that, and someone that we're dealing with that is, that has not shown itself yet, the reason of why this was done. And for some of the people saying it has to do with Savannah. It was because they talk about that it would be, revenge is one of the reasons why some people do some of these things. I think I just think at this point, I am very open to and I don't think they have a handle on it. And you think of some fluke like Brian Kohlberger, that was a weird DNA match. That went on for a while. And that was some nut. Well, he is the one to see if he could commit this crime and then get away with it. He was very cautious. Brian Kohlberger was very cautious. And that was not easy to catch him. There were a lot of other people that people were pointing to prior to that. But that was not easy. I saw someone last night, I think, mentioning the Unabomber. Now I talked about that. If you remember, the Unabomber, there's a good special on that on Netflix. And the Unabomber, what solved that was, if you remember, they made the decision to publish his manifesto. And then his brother in Chicago said, I know who that is. And they went to the family's home and they looked at some of his writings, I think that was still in the parents' home in the attic. So, but the Unabomber, that guy was off the grid. He was now they knew where he used to go to the store. They knew he was odd, but he was off the grid in that cabin. I'm not ruling anything out. Um, I'll admit I don't. frankly, the people saying, but people just throw things out. And I don't want to get distracted, but thread the needle, work for the Clintons. But what about that? What about that? They're not in power anymore. I'm not trying to get angry. They haven't been in power for a very long time. Savannah's husband worked for the Clintons, but they didn't kidnap him. And what does that mean? And the people that say it's Epstein, what about Epstein? Don't tell me it's a distraction. I don't believe that. People magazine is reporting the sheriff leading the search for Savannah Guthrie's mom reveals his brother died the day after she was abducted. Well, then maybe he shouldn't have been on the case. Then maybe he was distracted. Then maybe he shouldn't have been. I don't know what to make of that. Now, this business of Mexico, I am open. I'm not shooting that down. And I can see more people about that. Something about someone in Mexico. I really think at this point, everything should be on the table. In my mind, everything is on the table, by the way, because they don't know where she is and they didn't know who did this. But let me go back to the Unabomber. I thought that was, I forget who it was, but someone was saying what they need and they're not getting is someone to say, I know who that is. I know exactly who that is. And they're expecting it. Is it possible the reason no one's coming forth and saying that is because this person's from another country? I'm not saying it's that easy to know, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of talk now that TMZ is putting out that they were contacted by someone, a letter for multiple people, and Harvey Levin is saying that someone is claiming Mexico. I think the authorities should vet that. I have no idea if that's accurate. Meaning, I mean, I can report obviously what TMZ is reporting, but what I meant to say was TMZ receives fourth Nancy Guthrie demand email. I'm just not convinced that the other ones. I don't think at this point they don't seem legit. TMZ has received a fourth email from the man claiming to know who kidnapped Nancy. And TMZ has a proposition. Email with the same Bitcoin account as the other three. Said, I know what I saw 5 days ago south of the border. I was told to shut up, so I know who he is. He's definitely Nancy with them. Second reference he's made to there being more than one person involved in the abduction. In the third letter, he said, be prepared to go international. The man says he has a burglary on his record from 10 years ago, so he's afraid to come forward. If the individual, this is TMZ now, the individual writing this email, if you're for real, send us the information regarding the whereabouts of Nancy and the kidnappers. We'll forward the information. If leads to finding Nancy and the kidnappers, you have a public record, you're the one responsible, you'll get the reward. So that really throws things off. Now, as much as that sounds interesting, what what also um, stands out about that is okay, so TMZ did get a fourth email. I believe that. But believe it um, I'll believe it when we start to see police activity south of the border, around the border. Let's see. New York Post. Sheriff leading the Guthrie search understands interest in her son-in-law, Tommaso Fiore. I don't, we've been hearing that from day one that guy, he was involved, Nancy involved, excuse me, Annie involved. I don't know. I don't know, but then we don't hear anything more on that. Was it, was he involved thinking it was just going to be a burglary and then it went sideways? But she was alive, the pacemaker. She was alive when she left the house. So it's everywhere now. TMZ is claimed to receive a fourth note from a man with criminal history to know the name of the kidnapper. I would call that very valuable information right now. Now, how about, this is also interesting. And again, this is coming up on my timeline on X. People magazine, new details revealed after a grandfather, 85, is kidnapped by mistake, and police believe he's still alive. Everyone's going with the TMZ info. Yep. I know what I saw south of the border. I could be headed south of the border, folks. We may be heading to Mexico. Creep sends fourth Nancy Guthrie ransom note. He's made an offer. Um, in a phone interview with the New York Post on Monday, President Trump warned those responsible they must release her unharmed or he will instruct the Department of Justice to seek the death penalty. They don't know where she is. I wonder, is the investigation about to go south of the border? You can put your thoughts on that in the comments. I want to see what the police do. Again, the FBI database could hold all the answers because to me, that's what I think it really comes down to, which is because that part is solid. I don't know what to make of some of this other, again, now, if suddenly investigators are south of the border, then we'll, I mean, I'll drive to Mexico. I'm 90 minutes away. We may be Road Patrol Mexico. Who would like to see that? Yeah, we know that, Crystal. Yeah, no one's disputing. I like that. I think they screwed up in the beginning. Oh, do you think so? I haven't heard that. Real? Oh, you mean releasing the crime scene early? Yeah, we know that. Yeah, no one's arguing about that. The question is, what do we do now? But now, I want to be very clear. I'm not just driving to Mexico. However, if that's where the investigation goes, and you're watching right now, let me see a thumbs up. If you want to see Road Patrol Mexico, if that's where she is, I will be there. It's very easy to cross over from this side of the border, and apparently, because of this administration, has gotten a little more difficult trying to get over to this side of the border. But it's actually very easy to go from the United States to Mexico. It's really easy. I mean, do they stop anybody? I don't think so. We may be hitting the road. Who wants to see Road Patrol Mexico? We may be doing that. Um, this is all very fluid. This is all very fluid. And you can't be sad the entire time, right? I can't be doom and gloom. We have to, hey, maybe she is. I like the idea of that. That I would love the idea that she is alive and they're holding her south of the border. But what I'm saying is it possible that this case that they're dealing with something very, very different? That's right. Juanito, Mexico, Road Patrol International. I've been thinking of making Road Patrol International. We could. Well, if the investigation moves there, I'm going there. But only if some of the people on YouTube send super chats and some of the people send stars on Facebook. We need support. It's not easy. This is 7 days a week. This is 7 days a week. You know what I did yesterday? The same day as the day before. Someone, when are you coming back? I don't know when they find it. I just got here. I don't know is the answer. These drones are starting to become, when I first arrived, I was like, oh, wow, drone. Now it's like, it's like a gnat. It's like a mosquito. If she's that's true. If she's in Mexico, she's got her medicine. At this point, I'm not, I'm not ruling anything out. And I don't think they're ruling anything out. I can tell you right now, if you want truth, and that's why a lot of you tune in, they don't know where she is. They do not know where she is. Um, I wish I could tell you that this is going exactly according to plan, and that's right, south of the border, Road Patrol South. That's not what this is. They don't know where she is, and unless they hit gold with the DNA, it's not it's not ending. I don't think it's ending anytime soon if they don't if they don't. I'm just very open on the whole thing. I'm not down in the foxhole on anything, is what I'm trying to say. So could she be south of the border? Perhaps. Could this whole thing have could it have been a burglary gone wrong? I don't know what to believe on that. Or is this some are these like some weird group that is targeting her because it's Savannah's daughter? I think you have to look at that. I think you have to look at everything right now. I think so. I'm not having gone anyway. All right, I'm gonna we might as well. We'll take a walk. Thank you, everybody. And again, I want to reiterate the whole reason. Number one, it's a little quiet up here. And number two, the Wi-Fi is better. So just a warning, it could get a little glitchy as we approach those. And not everyone has seen this, but see how that cactus, the tall one that is dead center. Also, she's got a beautiful piece of property here. Nancy Guthrie has lived in this home for 50 years. And right to on the side of the cactus is the front door. So I'm strolling over like I'm a neighbor that lives right up the street. And we go right here, right there. And the police are now on the side, as a matter of fact. So here's news over here. No one's going anywhere. By the way, I was right. The tents went up and they're not coming down. And then the blood was right over there. No, we can't go over there anymore. But when they released the crime scene, the media immediately went over there. And that's how it was the media that found the blood and saw the flower and everything. I mean, it was really remarkable. It is. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love this area. Oh my God. I mean, and it's very peaceful. It's a lot to get used to. When I was first here, it's like this is so different than where I have lived in the East Coast. But I see the appeal. Definitely see. But it's her area. I mean, it's just so terrible because her area where she's been living is really, really delightful. I mean, it is. And and it's actually it's I want you to also understand that it's not as remote as some people make it out to be because I can get what if I were to like leave her driveway right now. So this is her circular driveway, right? So if I leave right here, I can be at a CVS and a Starbucks in 4 minutes, 5 minutes away. You're nice and removed from it up in this beautiful, gorgeous area. Yep. So, and I also want to stress to everyone, and I think people get this, but just how terrifying that must have been with, I mean, they took her out right from there, put her in the car or vehicle or whatever they had. How absolutely Terrified. That would be terrifying for anyone. I mean, most of the kidnappings we hear about now are Americans overseas. Danny Pearl, obviously the hostages were involving Gaza and Israel, but like this is like something out of a movie where right there, lifting, taking her out, how terrifying that must have been in the pitch black. These goons with a mask on and he's got a weapon. Oh, poor Nancy. I mean, by the way, even if that had just happened, lasted for a day, like they caught them and found her the next day, like how terrible that is for Savannah and how horrifying that must have been for Nancy to go through it. Nancy Guthrie, who was so peaceful and seemingly just such a wonderful woman who lived such a nice life and full life and loving friends and grandmother, and there's the sheriff in the driveway. And then here's the little memorial that is set up with the yellow. It's just so terrible. Really is. Oh, the yellow ribbons. Thank you for that. There we go. There's our YouTube crowd. I mean it, and I also, this is probably going to fall on deaf ears for some people, but I want to just mention, and I don't expect I'm going to change minds here, but some of the people that I just think there's many people, you're very insensitive. And I understand, I'm entitled to my opinion, but this whole business of this is just like there's something, how can I say this? There's something wrong with certain people. Like you're so insensitive. I'm not talking, I think, people that are, but to just it's a distraction and like who cares? And talk about heartless. There are some people that are just they're very cruel. That was a cruel, violent, terrifying, frightening action that took place to an 84-year-old grandmother out of her home, as the sheriff initially said. It's like she was plucked from her bed. And what the family has to go through, that's her blood on the front steps. It is just so painful. Like I'm pained for them. And then you do think of, I was speaking with one of my siblings, like, can you imagine if that happened to like your mother or my mother? Like how horrifying it is. It is just the animal nature of this. Who would do that to a defenseless 84-year-old woman whose only plan the next day was to watch mass? It is the death penalty isn't good enough, but I want to see people push back, and I wish many of you would, because I can't spend a lot of time in comments on the page. I can't, because if I spend time doing that, then it just takes up a lot of time. But I encourage you, push back on some of these people. It's all a distraction. Like you're whoever thinks that. I'm just so grateful and thankful that I'm not related to you. The people that actually believe that we're all being fooled. It's all a distraction for Epstein. Here's my message. There's no hope for you. I don't want to know you. I don't want to interact with you. I'd actually prefer you not even on my page. But I'm just so thankful and grateful. And I pray that I don't have like a family member that thinks that, because those people, there's something wrong with them. And if you're one of those people, look at this. Has she been found? Don't you think we'd be saying that? Don't you think we'd announce that? Has she been found? Do you think I'd be talking this way if she had been found? Do you think she was found and I'm just not telling you? What is wrong with someone like that? Was she found? Why don't you fucking watch for a few minutes and you'll know the answer? Oh my God. See, there's here come the Epstein people. Here come the Epstein people. Yep. I don't know where. Robin, take care of her. Oh, I could do it. There's the Epstein people. See how they get angry. There's so many crazy people. But I'll tell you, you can't, thank you, Angie. You can't get dragged down by them. You can't, because they zap your energy. They zap your energy. That's not our problem. Listen, whoever you are, stop commenting. It's actually a fourth letter. All right, listen, we'll have more updates. Thank you, everyone. There are, and they're crazed, and they come after you. It's unreal, but you learn a lot. I learn a lot by being here. But they get so angry, and they're so twisted. It is money was motive. We don't know that. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll be back. More updates.